Hello everyone, welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about everything you guys need to know in a generalized overview of Brimstone Sands, which is the newest expansion release that has now been officially announced to release on October the 18th. Okay, guys, just quickly, if this video does help you out, then please do drop a like. It really helps support the channel. And if you guys want to keep up to date with everything, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. And also, New World have currently got drops on Twitch up until just before the release of Brimstone Sands. So if you guys want to get your hand on some cool cosmetics, you can drop by my Twitch channel. I'll be streaming it every day up until the release and helping you guys get prepared for New World. So if you've got any questions, just come and ask me there. Or if not, if you don't have Twitch or if you don't really like live streaming, watching live streamers, then you're more than welcome to drop a comment down below, ask any questions you've got, and we'll go through it all. And I'll always answer every single comment I get. So just moving into the video super quickly. So Brimstone Sands is going to be the next large update for New World. It's their major sort of update. And like I said, it's scheduled to release October the 18th, 2022. It centers around sort of a large Egyptian kingdom within Artanum, and there's currently a war ongoing with it. The Roman legion arrived in the area and shortly thereafter had encounters with the corruption. And obviously this is where you kind of come in, allies have turned enemies and, all that fun stuff. And again, I'm not going to explain too much of the story because you'll want to experience that for yourself, okay? There's going to be completely new environment, really big. It's their first major addition to the map, which I really enjoy. There's going to be new quests and there's going to be an expedition added as well. Okay. One of the main things they're adding first off that I'm going to talk about is the Greatsword. It's a really fun weapon to use. I'm going to be honest, I've used it on the PTR a few times now and I've really enjoyed it. It's a two-handed blade and it allows you to switch between stances depending on what circumstances you find yourself in. And that's just kind of a new system. I'm not sure if they're going to bring that in with other weapons added in the future. But again, essentially, this isn't a greatsword video, so I'm not going to go into a huge amount of depth about it. But if, for example, you pick a skill out of the offensive tree, you know how most weapons have an offensive and a defensive tree that you can pick from. If you pick from the offensive, after that weapon's done, you go into an offensive stance, which gives you certain buffs and debuffs, and then same if you use anything from the defensive tree as well. I've tried builds where I've used purely offensive, where I've used purely defensive, and I've mixed and match, and there's honestly a good way to do all three ways. And you can it really works with it'll slot into any build, well, any melee type build. It'll fit in really well. And it also, the Greatsword, it scales evenly with both strength and dexterity. So you can pretty much pair it with any other weapon you enjoy. And it's not like the spear, for example, where it might mainly focus up with dex and then only secondarily with strength. This will go up the exact same amount depending on whether you build into strength or dex. So it's kind of available to anyone who wants to join in as who is a martial or a melee character. It'll fit into your build perfectly, whether you're purely dex, purely strength, bit of both, whatever, however you play the game, it's going to fit in there really nicely. So that's the first kind of thing that they're adding, apart from obviously the area. But that'll be available from, kind of base game. Like you can get it pretty early on if you want to. One of the new things they're adding in is something called heart runes, which will be able to further customize their playstyle. And the breakdown of kind of how it works is this. So the heart runes, you've got detonate, where basically you can overload yourself with arcane energy to detonate and deal significant damage. Players can move and attack while the ability is active, which is quite interesting. Would be good for sieges and wars. Grasping vines is going to be another one where you punch your hand into the ground to unleash vines around you and root all nearby enemies. A nice little CC there. It's really good. You've got the third one, stone form, where you can actually turn yourself to stone and become immune to staggers, knockdown, stuns, roots, and slows. And you can still move and attack while this ability is active. Again, really fun. Cannon blast, where basically you whip out a large handheld cannon and fire a cannonball that explodes upon impact for high damage. And then you've got dark ascent, where you can basically sprout corrupted wings and fly up in the air, hover briefly, and then slam back down to the ground, dealing damage to all nearby enemies. These are basically like ultimate attacks. So you're not going to be able to spam them, but they're going to be available to use, and they're going to be they're going to help add to builds and help people customize builds in different way. I'm really excited to start playing around with them and add them into the build and see what you guys see what everyone can do with them. And just to a little bit more detail on that, it has been confirmed you must fully charge your heart gem to be able to activate it. and that performing various combat actions like dealing and taking damage, healing allies, and blocking hits will contribute towards your charge. Again, just like an ultimate, if you play Elder Scrolls Online, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The amount of charge resets with each use of the Heart Rune ability, and you can switch out between different abilities as you wish to find the one that best suits your playstyle. Perfect. Lovely job. So what we also discussed there was the new expedition. Sorry, what I mentioned was the new expedition called Ennead. And it's a giant pyramid within the new sort of region. And it centers around the relationship between the Roman legion in the area and the ancients. There is not a massive amount of info on this at the moment. All I know is it's going to be another 5-man expedition. And obviously there's going to be loot and gear that you can get only from doing this. So yeah, keep an eye out. As soon as I get more info on it, I'll mention it. But the reason I'm mentioning it now in this video is because I wanted to talk about another thing that kind of leads on from this. So when this Q&A was getting done, one of the questions asked was Ennead a 5-man dungeon or expedition, sorry? And they said yes. Someone then went on to ask after that, is it possible, or in the future, are we going to have larger than 5-man expeditions? So think of World of Warcraft raids or Elder Scrolls Online trials where you have 12, however many people in it. In short, the answer was no. Now, I personally asked myself during some alpha testing if it was ever going to be thought about, and they didn't really confirm nor deny. So I think they were unsure about it. As it stands right now, their stance has completely changed to a no. Okay. One of the main things that's coming, which I think is going to be really good to everyone, they've not just added this area, they are completely revamping the starting experience as well. I personally jumped on the fresh PTR, fresh character, before you could do the max level 60s to play Brimstone Sands. They'd actually added this into the PTR before Brimstone Sands, so you could experience the new starting experience. And my God, just from my personal opinion now, before I get into the facts and figures about it all, it is a lot more fun. I sat and played the game for 4 hours straight and didn't even realize where the time had went because I was enjoying the new player experience so much. The way it's working is now the quests flow through zones. It's being quite optimized, essentially, with NPCs who kind of move around, and you kind of get more of a central story thread that takes place through each region of the game. And then you obviously unlock side content to pace out the experience as well. So from my experience, what you've done with that was you started in Windswood. Every time I've done this, I started in Windswood. I don't know if this is how it's going to happen when it goes on live, but this is what I've done in the PTR. We always started in Windswood. All of our quests were based in Windswood, so we weren't running around to loads of different areas. And then as we got to about, I think it was like level 16, level 17, we then ended up in Everfall. They have removed Everfall as a starter place. It is now for higher level. So no one will start in Everfall anymore, basically. There is quite a variety of new quests that have been added. And like I say, it's been more streamlined. So essentially, you'll start a quest somewhere, but then the NPC who gave you that quest, they might be at the end of where you finish that quest. You don't have to then run back to them. Just completing them and moving on to the next one that little bit quicker. There's also a variety of new kind of quest dynamics that have been added as well. From wave events to tracking and traversal challenges. There's going to be puzzles within the runes, which again is quite fun. And there's going to be sort of different unique interactions that you can have with the world and dynamic events players will encounter. They even added in a whole new kind of lot of characters to make this feel more immersive. And again, I don't want to spout on about my personal opinion because I'm trying to just give you guys the facts and the figures, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And the reason they've done this was because they wanted to make the onboarding for new players. They revised it to ensure that they stay focused on the central storyline, introducing the legacy of King Arthur in Monarch's Bluff and a curse and famine from the sorceress Medea in Windswood. So again, I always started in Windswood, and I always the few times I'd done this PTR kind of run through, I always done this storyline based around Medea. Where you have to fight her at the end of it. That's not a spoiler, by the way. You do this very early on in the game. Once that's happened, though, and whether you've been in Monarch's Bluff or Windswood, for example, you'll move on to Everfall, where you will then converge with Hermit Jonas, and then that's when you start on the path to becoming a Soul Warden. But All of Jonas's quests, again, have now been consolidated, never fall. He will again, sometimes you run back to him, sometimes he will appear at the end of the quest, just outside the location of where you have to go. And again, it just adds to that streamlined feel of making things a bit more immersive, is probably the word I want to use. The other thing they've done is they've actually improved the areas of the settlements in Monarch's Bluff and Everfall, and they've actually given them like specific names. I can't remember them off the top of my head, if I'm not going to lie to you. But this includes like sort of new enemies as well, different points of interest, and new challenges in the quests, as well as the open world. So each kind of area has a more distinct character to that area. The other thing I really liked was, without having to jump around areas as much, you can focus on leveling up your XP gain within that area. Some of you will probably know that when you level up in an area, you get area standing. You don't just level up your personal XP. So with that, you're then going to be able to capture that XP gain when you improve it. When you improve the amount of XP you gain in an area, you stay in that area for longer now, so you're going to help level up quicker. It also doesn't throw you straight into joining a faction. Joining a faction kind of becomes secondary and not part of the main quest. It is still possible and how to do it, but one of the things I noticed was it actually kind of doesn't really tell you how to do it now, and kind of just leaves you to find it out for yourself, which is interesting. I guess if some people don't want to do PvP, then it's fine. They can just go on the game PvEing and completely just ignoring that whole side of the game. Me personally, you know, I love PvP, and to anyone out there, I would highly recommend giving PvP a go. Yeah, it sucks at first when you still don't know the game, but you just need to put some time in, and I promise you, you'll get better. And watch my videos as well, obviously, because they'll help you as much as possible. Anyway, guys, that's all I'm really going to go through. I didn't want to make this huge, long video about, you know, every single little detail. I want you guys to experience for yourself. If you have any questions or anything that you still really want to know, feel free to drop a comment. You guys know I'll answer every single comment I get. And along that as well, I think I mentioned at the start of the video, but there is drops available on Twitch. So if you want to get some cool cosmetics, you can come catch me live streaming New World up until the release, and there's drops going to be active on that as well. Keep an eye out soon. Make sure you are subbed to the channel if you are a new player, specifically because I'm going to be adding an updated leveling guide to the channel. That's going to be my next video before Brimstone Sands comes out, to help you get leveled up, get ready for New World, and get ready for 60, because Brimstone Sands is a level 60 area, so you do have to hit the level 60 before you can go on to do it. All right. So anyway, guys, thanks very much for watching. I hope you guys all stay safe, and I will hopefully catch you guys in the next one. Take care.